There we go. Awesome. All right. There we go. Okay, so for those people coming in online, welcome. And what I'm going to do here is just put the spotlight on. It's noisy in here today because, of course, they're not realizing this is what I'm up to. Okay, there we go. Awesome. All right, so jump in if you need to, jump in on anything. So, okay, so here we go. Right on. All right, so welcome. And the reason for the tea at the beginning is for you to awaken your senses. So the first is smell, second today is color, because it was nice bright blue. And that's important for bypassing the nervous system to help you to start to relax quicker. So if you just dive in, you can get there. But it's so much nicer if you have a couple little tools to help along the way. Okay, so today we can go around introducing everybody, but I'll just have you say hello since it's going to be on recording, and I don't know that you really want that. So hello. Awesome. Okay, so my question to you is, what is your go-to exercise that you know will work to calm the nervous system down right away that I gave you? You like to go here?
Yeah.
That's the one you tend to find?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's one I think of.
Okay.
And
You like to do spine rotation? Okay. Others?
I think you do foot exercises.
Foot exercises?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Mari, were you saying something there?
I said I do seated Danyus.
Seated Danyus. And would it be just hands only, or would you be falling into your feet?
I fall into my feet.
Perfect. Thank you. Awesome. Anybody else?
I don't know what I do.
Good job.
I don't do all of it.
Just using the arms. Okay.
I do most of them, but I wouldn't like to say which one especially. I enjoy all of them. Let's
Okay.
do that one.
Okay.
But I can't say one.
Different ones will pop in at different times.
Yeah.
Okay.
The brush needs to, if I can do it right, the brush needs, I guess if there's training.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Let's see. Linda and Linda are sitting side by side.
Does that look at two?
Your feet. Okay.
Yes, I would, yeah.
Yeah. And for you?
I don't usually do anything at all. Except get fatter and madder. And matter, so like swearing helps. Tai Chi is better than swearing helps. If I learned how to do Tai Chi, maybe I'll stop swearing.
I wouldn't dare to.
And I also can't hear, so it's really doubly frustrating.
Okay. So for those people listening to the recording, I'm not sure how much you can hear.
Or you should hear.
The conversation was around if you need to release the nervous system, swearing could help, which isn't the Tai Chi way. That's what we were joking about. Okay, so the reason I asked that question is because the biggest lesson in Tai Chi is not the movement, it's what you know about yourself. That's what you're learning. And so when, in the particular case of we're doing this introduction to Tai Chi, everybody gets really wrapped up in what movements are, and I can't remember the sequence, and did my hand go this way or that way. It is important, but not as important as about what you learn about yourself. So what patterns you have at home that put you into stiffness and soreness, what patterns that you have to get you back out. And usually we're looking for the fix, but we also have to look at how we got there. And so for a lot of people, they're not thinking about how they got there because those are the everyday regular patterns and they've been there for forever, which is why they're a problem. because we fall into them and then we just get nice and comfy with them and then we stay there. But they lead us to where we are, right? So one would be, what kind of movement activities, if you wake up and you're stiff first thing in the morning, what kind of activities do you participate in right at the start of the day? Because you're gonna have, they call it like a fuzz that goes all over the fascia, which covers everything internally and all the organ systems. So if you're covered in fuzz, you need to do something to get that out. I'm using that as a metaphor. I'm not exactly sure what it is. But that piece is, if you're going to be stiff, you might have more of it congregating in certain areas. How are you going to change that? So some people will say, I'm going to go down and put the coffee pot on. I'm going to have my cup of coffee because I can't function until then. The truth is, you can function, and what is your choice of functioning before you go downstairs? And you might decide you don't even need the coffee once you've done the other activity. But the habit is to go and do the following, right? So that would be the first thing. So what have you got that you could use first thing? But then you have also, through your day, I'm sure almost everyone in the room can admit to it, that we go until the project's done. So we go until we run out of energy because we just want to make sure that we do not have to go back to that garden and read any more in that garden because you said you were going to finish it today, so you're going to get it done. Or you're going to vacuum the whole house. You say you're going to vacuum the whole house, but you probably multitask like me, which meant you went to the kitchen and you did a few more things there, and then you went to the living room, but then you decided to do something in the bathroom. But you promised you'd get the vacuuming done, but you've already added 10 more things as well as the vacuuming. But then you go until the vacuuming is done because that's what you said, and then you're like, that's it, on the couch, I'm done. There isn't anything left of me, right? So those are the habits that we just continually drain ourselves out or create the inflammation or create pain in the joints or whatever it happens to be. So then looking at what is it we do every single day, because it's probably a pattern that's there and it just goes with your day. What are we doing that we can change that? Change that. The reason I asked what are your go-to exercises are you choosing an exercise that actually builds energy? Or are you choosing an exercise that moves you a little bit or maybe stretches you? It's not for you stretching. And then they'll go to the tightest place and stretch the tightest place. That might not actually be where the problem is. But that's what we choose. Okay. All right. You okay at home, Mari? Okay. Awesome. So now if we think about what are the exercises that you choose when you first get up, it's going to be an energy building exercise for the day. Anybody remember what builds energy? Mari already gave it away. Go for it, Jeanette. Don your arms, right? But with the feet. Don. Because you need to move the hip in order to start building energy. You don't move the hip, then you are opening pathways, but we're talking about trying to build energy. Okay? So we go forward and back. That would be the exercise. I'm not sure if you do that when you cheat on or not.
Yes.
Awesome.
Qigong, but I did Tai Chi as well.
Okay, so you've got that. Okay, so let's measure first how much difference we're going to be able to make. So usually I've done head and neck things. Let's check in with feet today. So if you rotate one foot, notice what it feels like to take it that direction and then bring it back. And then notice if you bring it in and bring it back. And then try the other foot and bring it back. And then inside and bring it back. Okay? So now if you turn your heel in, notice what it's feeling like in any joints, and then take it the other way. And bring it back. And the other heel is going to go in and bring it back and then it's going to go the other way. And bring it back. You may have noticed some things in the hip show up, some complaints, some cracks. You may have noticed it felt okay to move one ankle one direction, but the other ankle not quite the same, it's a little bit different. Okay, so we've got that. Okay, so now if you just rock the pelvis, you roll back towards your tailbone, and notice what that feels like. If there's any stiffness in the lower back, and then if you come up to straight, everybody's taller. So I should have measured before we started. Okay, so now if you roll forward towards the front of the sit bone, notice where in the back the little complaint starts to come in, and then go back to straight again. So just notice that. And then we have the lovely one that goes over the side of the chair. So what does it feel like to bend to the side? How comfortable is that? Just notice what that feels like. Okay? And if you just want to make this hand, notice what this feels like. Okay? And each hand might be slightly different. Okay. So that's a different way. So if you're watching the introductory series, I've tried to change things each class so it's something a little bit different. There's lots of ways of knowing. Okay, so now if we go to seated danu, palms are going to come up, fall into your feet, push into the foot to come back, and you're going to go back, so you're going to go towards the tailbone, and then you're going to rock forward again. And each opening, closing of the hip is helping us to build energy. So we don't have to rock right back to the tailbone, it's just to come back, that's all. And fall in. Okay, so just to see what happens, let's do just 10. I think that's 6. And it's not that I like to count them because counting makes me tense, so I prefer not to count. But just to give you an idea of only what a few we can do. Okay, so now if you go back to your feet, turn your foot, see if that changed the range of motion, see if it changed what it feels like. Yes? Is it crazy?
Dramatic.
Yeah. And then the other way with the toe, and then try it with the heel. So you turn your heel in. Oh, there, I realign my knee. So range of motion is changed. Nope, same range of motion. Okay, this joint feel the same. How does it feel?
It just feel like I do it better.
Better. More, a little bit more open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe in my mind, but
Not in your mind. But it's in your body.
Smoother.
Smoother.
It is smoother.
Yep. Yep. Okay, so that's feet. Okay, so then we did lower back. So if you roll back, does that roll differently? So the first time I did it, as I rolled back, I could feel the lower back, not that it felt bad or anything, it just, I could feel it. But now I can actually feel higher up towards the shoulder blade. Below that, everything just moves nice and freely. So I don't know if that's the same or not. And then if you go forward, you might have noticed that one lock up a little bit, kind of mid-back, but you might notice now it's a little bit higher up. So the range is a little bit different. Okay, so if you go over the side, there's the floor. And the floor on the other side. Okay, does that feel easier?
Yeah.
For those people online who can't see everybody that's sitting around here, the first time we did it, you all went in different directions. Second time, you all went the same direction. Did you notice that? None of you said anything to each other. You all just moved the same. Then no one crashed into each other, which is interesting. Okay, so we have that, and then your fist. Does that change?
Able to make it tighter.
A tighter fist. You can actually articulate the
that's
fingers
true.
a little bit more. Yeah, it's subtle. It's very subtle. Okay. So All we did was 10 seated donyas. So first thing in the morning, you wake up, you turn your ankles, and you're like, oh, they're lovely. And then depending on if the cat's squalling at you or not, which is what I end up with, you swing your feet over the side of the bed, 10 of those before you get out of bed. That's a significantly different start to the day. The bed's too high. Over to the chair. Okay.
Why does it relax you then before you go to bed?
It opens, it's not about actually relaxing, it's about an energizing or building energy isn't about like caffeine jolt. It's not that. It's that you bring balance and flow to the systems and then everything functions correctly. That's what it's doing. So at bedtime, it's opening the flow of everything so you actually can go to sleep. Because if you have some system that's over-energized, it might be the system that keeps you awake. And first thing in the morning when you get up, you're moving into usually 7 to 9 a.m. stomach meridian. And the stomach meridian is digestion, how you're going to process things. And at the very start of the day, if it's not where you want it, you're not going to digest very well. So if you start your day balance and flow, everything opens up, system's ready to go. So it's not, because people think about energy as eat nutritious foods, then you'll have more energy. Or I need to put an adrenal zap in there, so I need some kind of caffeine in order to do that, in order for me to have some more energy. But actually, it's we need to just bring everything into balance. And this is our best exercise. It's the one that does everything all at once. So nice and simple. Okay, so if we do 10 more of those, let's see what happens. So these are so easy. Waiting in an office, sitting on a chair, waiting in the car, getting stiff in the car because you've been driving longer than the 2-hour thing that showed up on your dash. And you want everything to be nice and soft. And you're using your feet. Push out your feet. Okay. Over there. Okay. So now just go to something that was stiff in one of the joints, maybe in the feet. There's a particular direction that it was easier or harder to move. Just play around with it a little bit. So there's another crack putting something else in place. Okay. And then if you just feel that back again, so last time I talked about you could kind of feel higher up on the back. Now I don't have anything left. And then roll backwards. There's nothing left that's stiff. Go forward. That same thing, kind of center the back at the beginning was kind of tight for me. Now that's all gone. Yeah. Okay.
That's remarkable. Like I have quite a pain these days in my ankles.
Yeah.
And the difference is remarkable.
Yeah. So if you think about the nervous system, because that's the big buzzword, right? Stress is all about the nervous system. And you think about how much tension goes into each of those ligaments and tendons because of the nervous system, and then creates that joint pain. Then you wonder how much of that joint pain is labeled as arthritis and isn't arthritis, right? And sometimes it is, because that's a chronic condition that over time ignored does produce results. But the other side is sometimes it's just not. Sometimes it's just you're stiff, that everything is just too tight. Yeah. Okay, so now that we did that, and you can see, so that's 20 donyas, right? Seated, we didn't even get to standing. So if you're able to put that in at the start of the day, or before you know you're too tired in the middle of the day. So a lot of times people will wait until they do the crash at 2 or 3 in the afternoon, but you've already taken the system down. So you want to go 12 or 1 o'clock, it's like, yeah, I know what 3 o'clock is going to be like. So a little bit of water, a little bit of exercise, go put my feet in the grass, and I'm just going to really relax and rebuild. And then carry on. You probably notice 3 in the afternoon disappears, and you don't have your usual slump in there. Okay, so we have one critical exercise. So next one, let's go turning. I'm just going to turn this way so from the viewing you can see okay. So we could do hands in front, holding the ball. So for those, it would look like that. So for those people who haven't done it before and are watching for the first time, so we've got a balloon, got a knot at the bottom of the balloon. The arms go out so you can feel your shoulder blades engage. So not that you want more effort, it's just the shoulder blades engage. And then you're just turning till the knot of the balloon would be in front of your knee. And then you would be going the other side, the knot of the balloon in front of the knee. And then bring that back. Okay, so it's just going to be little turn, straight, little turn, and back.
Michelle, should your fingers be straight or curled? I was thinking.
Good question. They're going to be like that. So, let's see, where's the color? Where's the curtain? You can see my hands. Okay, so the fingers are spread because you don't want them together. That's going to block energy. And you want them slightly rounded or curved. Okay, and then your thumb makes kind of like a claw piece of it. And it's nice and relaxed. So you could do claw, bear claw this way, but it's just going to be nice and relaxed. Okay, and if you think about the balloon, your hands go around the balloon, they would do that anyway. Okay. So we just have one side. Now push into the foot on the side that you are with your hands, and it's going to turn you to the other side. And the addition of the foot creates whole body movement. Because we could easily turn just from the center of the core, but what we want to do is create whole body from head to toe. And push into the feet, and take it back. Now you may notice the lower back is completely cleaned up. And you may notice some ribs that are moving. And ideally, you just feel like you have a pole straight down the center of the body, and you're just turning around the pole. And you just swing back and forth around the pole. And back to the middle. Okay. Nice and easy. Okay, so from there, what is your awareness now of the energy on the outside of the body?
I have to think about not concentrating so much on the balloon, but you see everything's stiff. It takes a while to get it loose. Hold it like this, so it's loose. And that will allow everything to flow better.
Yep. So when your hand goes on the balloon,
It's gotta be loose.
you're just suspending the balloon. That's it. So even your fingers, just let your fingers completely relax. Okay?
It's hard to get your fingers, for me,
Relax.
to relax.
And then you just want to be rotating. So it's just turn. It's like is that a weather balloon? Right? You know how it just easily moves with the wind. That's all you are. And it's just turning around that pole. Yeah. Okay? I didn't mention eyes, but I see lots of eyes on the floor. So you want to be standing above. No, it doesn't need you. So your eyes are going to be up and out because you always want to be aware of your surroundings. So when you're turning, you're seeing the room. You might not really be aware of all the pieces in it, but and now you'll notice how much taller your spine can be. Then you can notice how easily it will move. Right? Put your eyes down. You're going to change the weight, and now the muscles in the back of the neck have to let go for you to do that. It means clenching in the front of the neck, but now your back of your neck muscles are going to try to hold your head up. Right? And that's all attached to the vagus nerve. Your nervous system is really challenged when you're here. It's not challenged when you're up here. Everything's lined up. You can't see online, so everybody's taller. I'm hoping the two of you are taller too. Okay. All right. So that's the easy way to just make that happen. But then we can also add the hand. Okay. So one hand is going so the palm is across from your ear. You have a 90-degree angle of your arm, and the palm is facing. Okay. So you'll see the angle of my hand. Okay, so it's not going to be in. If somebody from a martial arts perspective wanted to hit you, it would be very easy. But if you put your hand out here and you make it greater, so you've got that 90-degree angle, they hit you from there, it's locked. And it's no effort for you. It would just be locked. Okay? And you're doing the same rotation. Hand doesn't move, just the belly moves. It's the same as when you were holding the balloon. So you just rotate.
Oh, sorry, I just lift it.
So now the thing about rotating, you think first thing in the morning, you've got all the fascia that's wrapping around every organ system. You want to wake the organ systems up so they're all talking to each other. This is how you can get there. Lovely rotation. Next part is when you feel that shoulder blade engage, come around with your arm. You can have all the micro movements underneath the shoulder blades and all the way through the ribs. That is waking up all kinds of systems as well. Now, how many do you need to do? Maybe 5. Not very many. Okay. So now I want you to hold the hand out by your ear. Don't move your arms. Only move your belly. Okay. Now change arms. Now move your belly. Okay. And your arm should still be open. So the shoulder seam should not have closed because all you moved was your belly. It looks like I'm moving my arms, and I'm actually moving inside. Okay. And if you notice that your arms are tired, likely you lifted your hand up greater than 90 degrees. So you want to make sure to drop it back down. Deltoid isn't lifted, it doesn't have to work. You want all of this to be able to open, so your elbow is going to be relaxed.
And again, our eyes follow.
Your eyes will actually be ahead of your hand. You can do it with your eyes straight forward. If you go straight forward, it's going to change the way that the neck and the rest of the spine function together, which is fine. But you can also take the eyes and scan ahead of the hands. which is a great exercise for movements like claps later on. Awesome. Okay, so now if you make a fist, check in with your hands. Is that fist feeling like it's got more power? And the same with the fingers. Okay. So that's going to open everything up. So now we didn't check in with the toes, but if you wiggle your toes, see what's happening with the toes. You didn't check in before, but you may have where it might have been stiff, but you probably know what your ankle was feeling like. And that's that easier for you? Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so micro changes, but huge changes overall. And then that awareness about what to put in your day and where to put it is really important, because that's how you start to change those patterns that have not been supporting you. So if you have aches and complaints anywhere, it's because of the patterns. So we have to figure out how we can change them, shift them up. Okay, so let's go to, we've done across this series, the first 17 moves from the Tai Chi set. Let's do that, and then we'll do a few things standing, okay? So now if you're across from me, good luck. No. Try to get right in there. For those that are online, I'm hoping I hit the right angle. Okay, and again, in the Tai Chi Wellness playlist, there are many videos that were very specifically done, so you can go check in. They were done so that you couldn't just copy and just put the recording up and then copy it. It was, you look at it, figure out what you need, come back and do it yourself. The reason is Tai Chi doesn't transform until you know how to put it inside you. If it's always held visually, then you're just copying. That's why I keep asking you, what are you aware of? How have you started to change? You have to start to figure out, this one feels really good when my back is sore. This one feels really nice when my feet are sore. This one feels really good first thing in the morning, whatever. Okay. Okay, so we've got commencement to start with. Double check your feet, flat on the floor. So if anybody finds that they put their feet up onto the ball, that's immediately putting yourself into fight or flight. So that is a reaction for, I'm not safe. So if you find yourself doing that, then just bring your feet back, and then you'll notice they'll start to come. And the next part is just make sure you've got your toes connected to the floor, okay? And that you can feel all parts of your feet on the floor. Okay. So we're going to go, commencement. So the palms are down. And I won't go through the things that I talked about in the first couple episodes, so we can move from there to new information. So your right hand is going to come out, left hand turns in. Left hand comes underneath, and then the right hand turns in. Right hand comes underneath, and now your left hand goes into the wrist of your right hand, fall into the feet, go back. Palm to palm, go back. Two hands are going to go forward, and then you turn your hands. Sorry, I wanted to say two things at once. Go to your left hip. That was the second part. Roll across to the right hip. Make a cone with your right hand, and your left hand is going to pull out. Okay, right hand is going to go higher than the left. And then you're going to drop your right hand down in front of lower dantian. So we're talking about energy building. This is right hand is energy out. It's going to go straight in. And you're going to fall forward. Right hand goes to the floor. Left hand goes to the floor. Now you're going to turn the light bulb at the top. So there's your spine rotation. And it's going to come back to rotate back the other way. And then we're going to go through left hand. Open the hands. Strum the paper, so left hand is higher than the right. Open the hands. And then you're going to do a brush the left. Turn the hand. Brush the right. Turn the hand. Brush the left. Open the hands. Strum the paper, so left hand is higher. Open. Brush knee left. Hold the flowers, goes over to your left. Right hand comes in. Left hand comes in. Right hand comes to your hip. And then your left hand's going to go to the floor. Wipe the sleeve with your left hand. Two hands go out. Lift. And then sink. Cross the hands. So you'll notice that pulls you up nice and tall. Everything lines up. And then let it go. Sweet. Okay, so I don't know how many Danyus that was. 17 moves, but there's more than 17 in there. So we did at least 17 Danyus. Just in that little piece. You already know that action is going to change a lot. But then we moved our hands in different directions, which is changing. Micro movements, shoulders, hips, jaws, ankle joints, wrist joints. Okay, all of that is within that 17. The 17 will also open all the energy systems. So if all you can remember is 17, or all you have time for, 17 works. Okay.
So Michelle, how does that, like with me, right across the shoulder blades is worse than it was before.
Okay.
So, I mean, I know I get that during the day on and off.
Right. So, what were you tense about while we were doing the set? Oh no, it's a really good.
Yes.
It's a really good way to look at things, right? What were you tense about?
Oh.
Your face on to me, so right and left, right?
Yes.
So when you go beyond your limits, that's your signal.
Okay.
So how many times a day does that signal show up?
Yeah, interesting.
A lot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it can be as simple as confusion, right? Right and left. And that's enough to take the energy out.
Okay.
So then that's, okay, so this is where you start to think about what's your personal formula, right? How much energy will you need so that you feel confident going through those pieces, so that signal doesn't have to show up, right?
How important is it if you're on your left and you're supposed to be on your right? How important is it to just keep moving?
Just keep moving.
Yeah. Doesn't really matter that much as long as you're moving.
Oh, but, well, if you know that you're mixing up left and right,
Yeah.
and you're at home practicing, then you stop, like you do the set, but then stop and go, okay, brush knees, that's the one that's, I know it's from the paper sometimes, and you step up to raise hands. You know those are the problems, then you're gonna go back and practice that, right? So then you go, okay, I know that's a challenge, so I'm good up to left grasper's tail, and then I get stuck here. So you're gonna go here and swing through. And then go back and do it again. Here, swing through. And you just practice that tiny little piece, because it's a connector. And then it links up to the next part. Then you get to the next part and you go, is it right or left? I can't remember. So then you go, okay, what do I do first? So if you go whip to one side, then you know with whip to one side, that right hand has to come up. So whatever helps you to remember that. So you could say this is the lotus flower, so the flower is going to bloom. Okay, that's how I know that one goes up there. Whatever works, right? So you can remember it. Okay, so then you just keep practicing. So there's whip to one side, and then you go right hand up. Now, for some people, to say right and left is more stressful. My husband would never get it right and left because it would just become dyslexic. But if you say this way or that way, that works for him. But if you get a vision of this is the hand that has the flower and the flower is going to open, if that works for you, awesome. Whatever, that worked. Okay, all right, so that would be one. But now we've got, you finish white stork spreads wings, you get to the brush knee, and now you're going to go which hand? I do not have a whip to one side. I do not have a lotus flower. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scan the room and then bring my hands together. And now maybe the vision for you is open and close, and maybe left can find its way to the top. Whatever works. And then you just practice that. So you go and brush knee, and then you go strum the K paw, I'm going to play the guitar, and it's my right hand that's going to string. It strings. Put that off. But you break it down into that small piece because you want the micro movements. Because the gap in your head, you go brush knee, and then you go, uh-oh, I don't know what's next. Right? So you want to just fill in that tiny little bit so you fall into it. Okay, I expand, play the guitar, and then I have another brush knee. Okay, and maybe yours is you played the guitar. What happens to my right hand now? I don't know. This one goes to my knee. So you take the time to figure out the hand turns, it goes back, and then it's going to come through. Yeah, but that is your personal awareness and your job to figure out what is the next move. And then that's the journey, right? Trying to get to the end of 17, it's an accomplishment, but it's not the journey. The journey is, I have these little glitches in movement, and they throw me off, and then I can't figure out where I am. So I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to figure out how I'm going to know where it's going to go. And that's going to be more about it. How many Danyus did we do? A whole bunch again, right? So you're still moving, you're still creating that space. Okay. So let's go through. So notice, you're going to notice how many times that back wants to reappear. Is it bugging you now?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, if you want,
It's only one shoulder.
come and sit beside me. You can, that might be enough. You don't have to go left and
I'll
right.
do this one.
The other is watch your feet. Because sometimes what happens is the toes will go in. That shows how you deal with stress. That could be a nice little signal for at home when you notice your feet start to turn in. You're like, taking my body too far. The other thing that happens is the A-frame. So the knees go together and the ankles end up on the outside. And again, that's stress because what's happening is all the inner thigh muscles are squeezing. And they're trying to take over. So we're just going to bring it back and let it relax. Okay, so here we go. All right, find your spot where you notice the little spots. Forward. And then forward. On. Look to one side. It's going to go across. The hand's going to come out. Stronger in paper. And then push the left. Brush the right. Brush the left. And with your knees, just in case they're having a conversation, is squeezing in. Strong the paper. Brush the left. both the flowers. In, out. Yep. One, two hands. Let that go. And then let that go. Okay. So, energy on the outside of the body. I'm hoping you feel everything's awake and alive, just kind of bubbling. And if you want to take your hand across your arm, you might notice you can feel the heat of your hand, or you can feel the hairs on your arm just raise as your hand goes by. So that's, you've built more energy coming outside of the body. Not from
Are these 17 moves the same if you were going to another Tai Chi class somewhere else?
No, not necessarily. If it's Master Moy's work, it may be. Depends on which club it might be. Mhm. So you really want to find the person that you want to work with, and you want to stick with their work. Because what happens is if you try to pick up everybody's work, they all have different ways of working. And then it can be simple things, just how the hand turns, and then it just moves it somewhere else. So it's easier to just stay with that person or that style and try to stay within the style. Yeah. And it's not saying that the other work isn't good. All the other work can be very effective. You want to find that one and then just stay there. Okay. So we want that to just be a nice, even flow back and forth. So now let's just focus into wrists and hands. Okay. So everything we're going to do, I tried to say less that time, which I know is hard if you're watching on a video, but I tried to say less because sometimes language is a barrier. And so if I can be quiet, then you might get more out of it. What I'd like you to notice this time is when we go to do things like commencement, just noticing what those hands are doing and how free you can get the flow. And then in the wrist, just that softness is going to be in it. Exactly. So that softness of the very opening move, you want to put into everything. So if you notice your hands go flip, tight, whip with a squeeze, you go, okay, that's counterproductive. But if you can go gently, glide through them, and offer them, nice and gentle. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. Okay. Besides the sitting on the chair for too long. Okay. Okay, so here we go, commencement. So fingertips to the wrist. Pull back. Comes back in, look to one side, and then forward. Bring that lotus flower up, let it open. It's flowers in the vase. Comes down, separating heaven and earth. Brush in. So there's strong paper, and it goes back for brushing. Open the hands. Drop the pupa. Twist step, you're going to hold the flowers. I say twist step because that's what I do with my foot. And then out. So the hands are going to push. And then sink. Now right here, you cross the hands, but then they open, so the palms end up in line with the shoulders, and you end up lining up your entire spine right there. So just to bring that so it finds its place, and then it's just going to turn over. And you'll notice that the whole chest is going to want to rise, and the shoulders will drop. Because of those hand positions.
Michelle, which way do you do that? Which hand should be in front? Because I get that mixed up.
Right hand will cross over.
Your right hand should be in front.
Yep. Okay, now right there, notice how much space is now between the vertebra and your spine. Okay, so the softness created the openness, and then everything starts to lift. And then that's what you're looking for in your day, right? That whole lift open. Because as soon as it starts to compact, then you're going to have that pain show up in there. Is it still there now?
Yeah.
Okay.
What is a what is a ping pong?
Chinese guitar.
It's an instrument.
Yeah, so strum the pepa is play the guitar. So here's your guitar, here's your strings as an image. I'm not sure if that's totally accurate, but as an image for what you're doing, yeah. Okay, so let's go to standing. Marley ended up heading off to work. Okay, so let's go to standing. Because we're stiff from sitting there. Okay, so with this one, your feet are going to be shoulder width apart. And if we go to hands pedaling, with this, what I want you to do now is start to play with your feet. So feeling your feet on the floor, feeling the weight into the bubbling spring, and the knees are going to soften, the hip is going to let go, and if you like, you could sit back into the chair. So if your hip goes forward and you couldn't sit into the chair, you're going to need to take the hip backwards, so you would be able to sit into the chair. Okay, that's where you're heading. Okay. So we're here. And the fingers are going to comb through the air in front of you. And then the other hand is, when you get out, you're going to bring your hand in. I like to bring mine down towards the belly button. Some people will stay up in front of the heart, but I like to actually bring mine down. Sometimes that's easier if you're not sure how you want to turn your hands. Okay, and now check in where the tension is, just in case your butt muscles decided they were going to grip. And then let them go so you can sink, so like you're going to sit back into the chair.
Feel very heavy on my feet. So should I feel lighter? I feel like everything's cool.
You're being pulled right down into
Yeah.
your feet.
Yeah.
Okay. Right? Just notice that it changes. So we could be very deliberate, and then it's like, there's my right hand, there's my left hand. But that's a little bit. Just want to cultivate energy. So now feel the buoyancy in your feet. You can feel how you're bouncing through the movement. Not need to be a big bounce, but just how fluid it is. So then you're going to see if you can make yours go round. There you go. Pardon me?
I feel like I'm going like this, hip around the sugar.
Yep. So see if you can take, instead of this way, see if you can go this way. Right? So let the knees go buoyant, let your butt go back. So you're gonna sit back, take your weight, fall back that way.
Is it okay to be feeling that your shoulders are making a circle as you go around? I feel, I don't know. I'm just,
They might be, but as long as you're not doing big stretch so the shoulder blade pulls out, because some people will do this. Because visually, if you're watching this on a video, it looks like you're going like this, right? But we're much smaller. So yes, they're moving, just not stretching. That's that. Awesome. That's okay, Dorothy?
Yeah.
Okay. So you shouldn't feel it there. So then that's your pattern. So you go, okay, I'm going to change it. So take more weight down into your feet. Sink your hip back. And pedal lower. See how that is. Is that better? Awesome. Okay. So then a good note is, this week, is then, anytime your arms need to come up, when do the shoulders decide they're supposed to do all the action? Because they were taking over. Instead of the feet sending the movement out, your shoulders went, I'm going to do it. Right? And here's where you are, and then the hips come forward, and there's a lock. Okay. Shoulders are out. How can I find the buoyancy? If you spent all week on that, you would have repatterned that shoulders from thinking they need to be involved in stuff that they don't need to be involved in. Yeah. So that's a place of a lot of tension, right?
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Yeah, that was a different way. Told Dorothy to do it lower.
Maybe
So I
I'm
started
right.
to my cross, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you can see how the lessons of Tai Chi aren't, you can put a video on and you can watch it, but you really have to stop and go, what am I doing? Right? And these are all great input pieces to find out that piece, right? Because even to just notice, oh, I was doing that.
That's why we need an instructor, right?
Yeah, yeah.
A little bit. Yeah.
Because if we try to pick things up visually, we only have what we see. Because your question was a good one, because so many people think this is a stretch. It is a stretch, but the stretch actually comes from inside the connection to the feet. But visually, people would, this is what happens, right? It all locks up, and then they're here. So figuring out how do you find that buoyancy. Yeah. And then knowing, yeah, yeah. And again, it's a pattern, right? Because we grew up with those sports-minded concepts, right, that came through. And also, how are you going to get the swing with the bat? You're going to get it by tensing everything up you have in order to get the swing to work. That doesn't work here. But if we're used to that's how we approach everything, right? Vacuuming, washing the floors, same idea, right? Go. But if you start to really just go into the flow of the action, you start to figure out, how do I make it smooth? How do I have it serve me instead of I'm serving it? That helps. So then you have that buoyancy. Sometimes it's efficiency and you don't have enough time. To get the job done. But then again, it's funny because if you get the job done and then you have to go rest for an hour, that was totally counterproductive. If you'd taken 10 minutes longer to finish the job and you did it by building energy, and then you went, well, now what do I want to do? I have enough time, I'm going to go read a book. You know, I just saved myself 45 minutes on the couch and read my book and relax and feel good doing it, not, okay. All right. So now that you've got that connection into the feet, this is a really good one to find that connection piece. But let's do, I wanted to do something with the brushing feet. So for online, I'll turn this way, You're gonna start with your feet together, and we're gonna turn one foot, 40, how do I wanna do this? We're gonna go down into the legs, so you're gonna sink the hip back, and then you're gonna take one foot to the back and turn it out 45. See that way, okay? So, sink, place. And your weight stays in the front. All you're doing is placing your foot in the back, okay? And then from that position, what we wanna do is sink back, put our butt back, be able to sit into a chair, and then come forward, so our hip bones are gonna line up straight forward. So you're gonna have soften and open to the back, and turn and come in square. And soften and open. And then turn forward. Okay, so that's what I'm doing that way. I'm just gonna turn around. Okay, so the important part is hips need to come in square. Very often, one hip will still stay back. So you want to turn it, turn it, turn it. And then your angle of your body is like this. So head to heel is going to be one line. And then when you come back, you're seeing everything around you. Your head's up, you're looking out. The only reason your head is going to go towards the floor is not to look at the floor, but because you're going to go long through the neck. And then sink back. And when you sink back, you're going to sit your butt back into the chair, push out of the chair, and square. And then sink back into the chair, and then square. Okay, so finding this position can be fun. To try to get things to square can be a challenge. So then you want to bring your belly button all the way around, face right to the front. There you go. And then when you go back, you want to put your butt back so you sit into the chair. Lots of people will come back with their shoulders and leave their hip where it is. You want to actually sit back. Okay, so that would be the one piece. So let's change feet. So you bring the feet together. Take the other foot, so you have to sink down, put your butt back first, then place your foot. And then we're going to sink back into that foot, leaving your toe on the floor. Sorry, my knee decided to rearrange that. So you're going to sink back, and then forward. So weight stays on the feet, so you're pushing through the foot. And then come forward, square the hip. And now you need to push your butt back first. Butt goes back. And then forward. Okay, so now when you move forward, your weight where it is, you should easily be able to pick the foot up and back. And staying down in that position, you can easily place it to the back, bring it in, and you can change sides. It was just because it was really easy to go.
That was good.
Nice big step. Okay, how we doing? Okay, we need to be finished. So just bring your feet to straight. Now find the length. I should have measured everybody. Find the lift, how tall and long everybody is. Okay, and notice if there's any stiffness left where it might be. That would be an indicator where we might need to spend more time. Not necessarily on that body part, but on doing something that would release it. Okay, I'm just going to stop the recording. And we have one more week next week. We'll see you then.